The night before the wedding, I found out my fiancé was cheating outside the VIP lounge of a club in Eastbrook, California. I heard his friends tease, "Zach, marrying that charity case is bad enough. Are you seriously staying faithful to her? Why not let Lana show you what it feels like to be a real man?" I knew Lana, Zachary's tomboy bestie. She laughed, loud and carefree. "I'm game. Pity Zach hasn't got the guts." Zachary took a lazy drag of his cigarette. "Tonight, sweetheart, wash yourself clean for me, then we'll see who's gutless." The room erupted in cheers. I didn't cry or make a scene. I simply turned and walked away. Later, on the eve of the ceremony, Zachary blew up my phone. My hand shook as I reached for the call, but before I could answer, a man pinned me to the door from behind. His voice grazed my ear, hoarse and low. "Baby, why aren't you picking up?" Before we go any further, subscribe to the channel and tell us where you're listening. An anonymous message arrived. It read, "Come to Evernight, VIP Lounge 303, your boyfriend's waiting." I didn't doubt it. 303 was Zachary's private room at the upscale club in downtown Eastbrook. I raised my hand to push the door open when I heard the jokes again. "Zach, marrying that charity girl's already a sacrifice, now you're swearing off other women? We feel for you, bro. Shackled for life to pay back a debt." Zachary answered only with a lazy smoke ring. Someone egged him on. "Better have your fun before the ring's on. Let Lana remind you what being a man feels like." I knew Lana, Zach's brother from another mother. Bold, rowdy, one of the guys. She barked a laugh. "Sure, but does Zach have the balls?" I held my breath, terrified he'd say the word I didn't want to hear. A beat later, Zachary flicked his cigarette and drawled, "Tonight, wash up for me. We'll see who's scared." The lounge exploded in howls. My nails dug crescents into my palms. My heart felt stabbed. Breathless. My worst fear had come true. Long ago I'd sensed Zachary's feelings for Lana weren't ordinary. Once she brought her new boyfriend to a party at the Vance family's mansion in Eastbrook. Zachary congratulated him smiling, but squeezed my hand until I thought my bones would crack, as though venting some grievance. Later, when Lana swapped boyfriends, they kissed in front of everyone at a beach house in Malibu. Zachary yanked me in and kissed me hard, ignoring my resistance. Eyes fixed on Lana the whole time, as if competing with her. His teeth broke my lip. The taste of blood filled my mouth, but he wouldn't let go. Yet as long as he and Lana never crossed the final line, I could endure, could pretend not to see. But this time was different. I shut my eyes. The corners were wet. When I opened them again, I dabbed the tears away and quietly turned to leave, only to meet a pair of long, narrow eyes. Ashton leaned against the wall, watching me at leisure. He raised a brow. "Not going in?" Ashton was one of Zachary's rivals in the Eastbrook business circle. They'd clashed over deals more times than I could count. Caught in this miserable moment, I quickly looked away and hurried toward the exit. He grabbed my arm and said in a low voice, "Cherry, are you sure you won't reconsider my offer?" I looked up. Naked possession and conquest burned in his eyes. My heartbeat stuttered. I wrenched free and muttered, "Crazy," then fled the club. Back in the bridal suite we decorated together in the Vance family's penthouse apartment, I was still trembling. Rich boys like Zachary chase whatever they want, and when they tire of it, toss it like trash. Ashton was no exception. I couldn't fathom why he'd set his sights on me. Before, under Zachary's protection, I could ignore Ashton's hints. But now, thinking of Zachary made my heart ache again. We'd chosen every piece of furniture together. In the bedroom hung the custom-made white wedding gown. I still remembered Zachary's awestruck look when I put it on. He pulled me close and vowed, "Cherry, I'll cherish and love only you for the rest of my life. You're the one I love most." Yet the man who'd whispered those promises would spend tonight in another woman's bed. Tears slid down unchecked. So this is how cheap a man's love can be. That night Zachary rang. "Cherry, some buddies flew in from New York. We haven't seen each other in ages. Might drink till dawn. Don't wait up, okay?" Before I could reply, I heard his friends cackling in the background. "Zach, hurry up. Your bride's waiting in the honeymoon suite at the Beverly Hills Hotel. What's the holdup, bro? Getting cold feet?" Zachary cleared his throat. "Guilty. Gotta go. Bye." He hung up like he couldn't wait. I gave a bitter smile and tossed the phone aside, pulling the quilt over my icy body, curling into a shivering ball, so cold it made me shake. Half asleep, I drifted back to that freezing, rain-swept night, a routine downpour. I was 17, stuck in evening study hall at Willowbrook High School in Willowbrook, Oregon, when the head teacher hurried in, face grave. "Cherry, come with me." I stepped out under the curious stares of my classmates, and never returned to that classroom. She told me my father had crashed. He had been the Vance family chauffeur, on his way to pick Zachary up from his private school in Eastbrook when a truck skidded head-on into their car on Highway 101. He died on the spot. Zachary was badly hurt in the morgue at Eastbrook General Hospital. I lifted the sheet. The skull was shattered, features unrecognizable. Only the worn watch on his wrist told me this was my dad. I threw myself on him, screaming, but no gentle voice answered back anymore. Rain soaked my clothes. I shook uncontrollably. Grief crashed over me, yet no tears came. I locked myself in my small apartment in Willowbrook for days until Zachary, head bandaged, burst in and hugged me tight. Cherry, I'm here. Don't be afraid. I was so cold I clung to the warmth. I clutched his shirt. Zachary, I don't have a dad anymore. I have no home. He hugged me closer. You have me. I'll be your family. Us ending up together seemed inevitable. I once thought it was gratitude. Dad had yanked the wheel to save Zachary, but he said, Cherry, it's not just because Uncle Vance saved me. I'm with you because I love you. You know me. No one can force me into anything. I'd melted into his arms, certain I'd found the man who would cherish me like Dad did, only to discover it was all a lie. I woke gasping. A message lit the screen, from Lana. A photo and a voice note. The image, a trashed bed in a hotel room. Condom wrappers scattered like confetti. The audio, Zachary and Lana. Lana, that all you got? My ex lasts longer. Zachary, just wait. I'll screw you senseless. Disgusting sounds followed. I stumbled to the bathroom and retched over the toilet, bringing up nothing but hot tears. I huddled against the cold tiles all night. By morning I was burning with fever, 104 degrees Fahrenheit, mind fuzzy. At some point a cool cloth soothed my forehead. Blinking, I saw the familiar face. Zachary asked anxiously, Cherry, feeling any better? My throat was scorched. No words came. He lifted me against his chest and held a glass to my lips. I'm gone one night and you fall apart. Guess you really can't live without me. One hand cradled the cup. The other stroked my hair tenderly, just like every time I'd been sick before. Tears pricked again. After the water, he propped me against the headboard and picked up the millet porridge he'd bought from a nearby Asian restaurant. Eat a little. I bought it just for you. He lifted the spoon. My gaze fell on his neck. Fresh love bites glaring purple. Nausea surged. I shoved him away and doubled over. Heaving, the bowl clattered to the floor, splashing porridge over him and stripping away his last shred of patience. He slammed his fist on the nightstand. What the hell, Cherry? I stayed up all night looking after you, and this is how you thank me? He yanked tissues, wiping at the mess, his eyes blazing. Tears streamed down. I wanted to scream. When you fooled around all night, did you think how I'd feel? Did it ever cross your mind that being sick is your doing? Seeing me sob. Zachary's anger cooled, just a little. He reached out to wipe my tears, but I dodged. Go away. I don't want to see you. You make me sick. A flicker of guilt crossed Zachary's face. Then it turned to fury. Still think I'm disgusting? Who else would take care of you? Just wait to rot alone in this penthouse and see if anyone shows up to bury you. The door slammed hard enough to rattle the walls. I collapsed onto the bed, tears soaking the pillowcase. Just like he said, no one would come for me anymore. My head throbbed. My body shivered. The quilt was splattered with millet porridge, but I didn't care. I pulled it over me and wrapped it tight. Half conscious, I dreamed of Dad again. He wore that plain canvas jacket he'd worn as a chauffeur, his smile as gentle as ever. Tears streamed down my face as I threw myself into his arms. Daddy, I miss you so much. Can I come with you? He stroked my hair, voice soft, silly girl. What would you look for me for? I'm doing fine. You don't need to worry. All I want is for you to live well, to see the world for me. He let go, his figure drifting farther away no matter how fast I ran. Daddy, I screamed and jolted awake. The room was still dead silent. I pressed my hands over my eyes and cried until my chest ached. Dad was right. I couldn't die. I had to live. There were so many places I hadn't seen. I had to see them for him. When I was cried out and limp, something clicked. I struggled off the bed. Fever and starvation made the room spin. My knees buckled and I crashed to the floor. A purple bruise bloomed instantly. Pain shooting up my leg. Sweat beading on my forehead. Clenching my teeth. I inched across the rug and grabbed my phone from the nightstand. The call connected and I forced the last of my strength into one sentence. Ashton, save me. Endless black swallowed me. I didn't know if Ashton was on his way, or if I was already dead. My body felt weightless, the ache almost gone. Then machines beeped nearby. Muffled voices floated in. I pried my eyes open. After a long blur, his face sharpened. Sure enough, Ashton. The doctor checked me, pronounced me stable, and slipped out. Only the two of us remained. Ashton chuckled. Cherry, you've gotten bold. When I found you, I thought I'd walked into a homicide scene. Rumpled sheets, shattered bowl, woman sprawled on the carpet. It really did look like one. He added, if If my heart were any weaker, I'd be in the ICU right now. So dramatic. I turned my face away. You didn't have to come. Ashton laughed in exasperation, pinching my chin to force me back. Cherry, you're one stubborn little duck. You dialed me, so of course I came. Question is, how are you planning to pay me back? My heart lurched. At the time I only wanted to survive. Ashton was the only lifeline I could grab. Now nerves twisted my stomach. I knew exactly what payback meant. I stammered, voice shaking. Oh, of course. Ashton's lips curved. Don't disappoint me. The picture his words painted made my scalp prickle. After I woke up, he visited every day. One afternoon he mentioned he was stopping by to see a friend hospitalized for a ruptured ovarian cyst at Eastbrook Memorial Hospital. For some reason the phrase, ruptured ovarian cyst, flicked a switch in my head. The friend, I was sure, was Lana. I followed him to the OB ward. Male laughter spilled from inside the room. Zach's a beast, pounded Lana straight into the hospital. Guy must have been backed up for years. More revolting laughter. Through the gap, I saw Lana lounging against Zachary while he fed her fruit with a plastic fork. Zachary had always been good at taking care of people, except now his tenderness no longer belonged only to me. My eyes stung again. When she finished, Zachary dabbed her mouth and she drawled, done laughing. Then get lost. Don't be cold. Babe, we're here to plead your case. Someone tried to smooth it over. Zach, it's gone this far. Marriage is the only exit strategy. Just dump Cherry and marry Lana.
Yeah.
That chick's a tease, holds her dad's death over your head, won't even put out. Gross, right? Zachary's brows knit, face darkening. Lana waved a hand. Zachary's loyal. Don't push him. Besides, whatever happened between us was mutual. I'm not petty enough to trap a man with a little accident. Whoa, someone whistled. Lana's a queen. Way classier than some gutter rat who thinks she's a swan. Laughter erupted. Then Zachary's low voice cut through. You really think Cherry's the one who won't let me touch her? My fingers tightened on the door handle, heart leaping into my throat. He went on. I don't want to touch her. She disgusts me. The minute I see her face, I see her dad's smashed in face. Especially on white sheets. I'm afraid I'll throw up on her. Tears poured down. Unstoppable. So that was it. I wasn't old-fashioned. After we got engaged, I told him I was ready. Yet beyond kisses, we never took the next step. Zachary said, "You're my treasure. I want to possess you completely only after our wedding." I'd soaked in his sweet words, missing the flicker of revulsion in his eyes. He stayed away because my face reminded him of Dad's mangled features. Zachary, did you know? My father gave his life to save yours. If he hadn't yanked the steering wheel, the one unrecognizable in that wreck would have been you. How could you call him disgusting? Does your conscience never ache? I swallowed my sobs, shoulders shaking against the door. Inside, the talk went on. Poor Zach, carrying that kind of trauma and still having to marry her. Respect. Man, relax. Once you're hitched, you can still let Lana comfort your wounded soul. Pressure clamped around my chest. I couldn't breathe. I had to get out. Now, before I could move, the door swung inward. My weight against it vanished. Thunk, I landed flat on the hospital floor. Silence crashed over the room. Every eye pinned me where I lay. Tear-streaked. Broken. Ridiculous. The guy who'd opened the door recovered first and reached to help. When he saw who I was, he blurted, "Sis-in-law?" The atmosphere turned eerie. Zachary froze, then vaulted off the bed. He caught my arm. "Cherry, you okay?" The concerned tone, as if I were still his cherished fiancé. With an audience salivating for scandal, Lana smirked sharpest of all. I jerked free. Let go. Zachary. I wanted steel in my voice, but sickness left it breathless. Still, it bruised the great Zachary Vance's ego. His expression flipped, cold and sharp. What are you doing here? You followed me, didn't you? The accusation painted me the culprit. I shot back. If you've done nothing wrong, what are you afraid of? Or were you just busy with something sleazy? Guilt flicked across his face. Then righteous anger returned. Lana's sick. Friends visit. Simple. People with filthy minds see filth everywhere. I laughed until tears streaked anew. He'd learned to spin truth upside down. I couldn't spare another word. Zachary, we're done. The engagement is off. His eyes narrowed into a sneer. Cherry, have I spoiled you so much you think threats work? Without me, without the Vance family, what are you? Don't get cocky. Keep this up, and even if you crawl back bawling, wagging your tail, I might not want you. Disdain dripped from him, echoed by his friends. I couldn't take it. I fled. Behind me someone said, "Zach, aren't you going after her?" Zachary's careless answer floated out. Relax. Once she's suffered enough, she'll come begging on her knees. I stumbled back to my own room. The nurse raising the thermometer opened her mouth, then saw my tears and slipped out without a word. I climbed into bed and cocooned myself again. Body cold, heart colder. The door opened. Ashton stepped in, calm, casual, like he'd simply visited an everyday friend. As if he hadn't seen every second of the humiliation I'd just endured. I clenched my teeth. Ashton, you planned this. A statement, not a question. From the anonymous text to today's gaze, friendly visit, every move had been deliberate. Ashton remained unruffled. Shouldn't you be thanking me? Without my help, how else would you have seen his true colors? The man in front of me was impeccably dressed and strikingly handsome, but deep down he was exactly like Zachary, birds of a feather. They'd do anything to get what they wanted, and their money let them trample other people's dignity. Only I couldn't break free of him right now, because he was the one who'd saved my life. Ashton leaned in, pinched my chin, and forced me to meet his gaze. Cherry, I'll say it again. Are you ready to repay me? I shut my eyes in desperation. I won't go back on my word. Still, I have one condition. What is it? I opened my eyes again. Help me leave this place. I went back to my hometown, Willowbrook, Oregon. I wanted to see my father one last time. When I reached Willowbrook Memorial Cemetery, I asked Ashton to wait in the car. I walked alone to my father's grave. The photo on the headstone was still young. His eyes still held the same gentle love. I hadn't spent much time with him. For as long as I could remember, he'd worked for the Vance family in Eastbrook, California, while I stayed behind with Grandma in Willowbrook. When she died the year I turned 13, he brought me to Eastbrook. Big city rent and tuition stretched him thin. Zachary's parents offered to pay my school fees and living expenses. They said raising a daughter alone couldn't be easy, and helping out was the least they could do. Dad was deeply grateful to them, so when the crash came on Highway 101, he yanked the steering wheel toward himself without hesitation, giving Zachary the chance to live. I pulled out the bourbon I'd brought, poured a cup for him, then one for myself. I sipped and remembered. Dad, remember when I was 5 and asked for a bicycle? You wheeled one home at New Year's, ran behind holding the seat, and I pedaled so fast I thought I could fly. When I was 8, I said I wanted to travel the world. You promised that once you earned big money you'd fly me everywhere. The year I turned 13 and Grandma passed, you brought me to Eastbrook. It's okay, you said. You still have Dad, and Dad will stay with you forever. I tossed the liquor back and burst into loud sobs. You liar. Why did you lie to me? You said you'd stay, so why did you leave me all alone? His death had turned my world cold and dark. Zachary held me tight and told me I wasn't alone, that I still had him, but now the last bit of warmth and light in my life had vanished. Long nights and endless frost were all that waited. I lost count of how many cups I drank before I collapsed. Through the blur I heard someone call my name. Then I was lifted onto a broad back. His spine was wide, warm. I instinctively hooked my arms around his neck, greedy for more heat. You'll stay with me forever, right? I whispered at his ear, hot breath brushing his skin. The arms under my knees paused for a second, then lifted me higher. Steadily he carried me downhill. A low, resonant voice drifted back. Yes, I'll stay with you forever. I buried my face in his neck and twisted my lips in self-mockery. Men toss out promises like confetti, thin paper that tears at the first poke. Ashton brought me to a hotel in downtown Portland. He laid me gently on the bed and dabbed my face with a hot towel. The alcohol had loosened me. I felt none of my usual steel around him. Bathed in lamplight, his face looked softer than usual. Forget family or morals, purely on looks. The man was gorgeous. Suddenly sleeping with someone rich and handsome didn't feel like a loss. I slid my arms around his neck and tugged him downward. I kissed him and murmured, Ashton, I love you. His body stilled for an instant. Then he tossed the towel and took over. I watched the ceiling light sway, broken sound spilling from my throat. So telling lies really was that easy. I woke the next morning in Ashton's arms, his chest sealed to my back. Honestly, he knew what he was doing in bed, except for one sharp twinge. The rest had been pure pleasure. Only the tastiest dish can cloy if overserved. When I felt him stir behind me, annoyance flared. I was about to push him off when the phone on the nightstand rang. It was Zachary's mother. Cherry, where are you? I'm so worried. I'd known she'd hear about the broken engagement. I just hadn't expected the call so soon. Zach was in the wrong. We've scolded him severely, she said. Come home, darling. The wedding will go on as planned, and we'll treat you like our own daughter. To outsiders, the Vances sounded doting. I knew better. They'd been kind out of guilt. Dad had died saving their boy. But guilt fades. When Zachary first insisted on marrying me, they opposed it. I once overheard her say, son, there are other ways to make amends. You don't need to sacrifice your life. They looked down on my small-town roots. I wasn't good enough. If Zach hadn't fought for me, I'd never have entered the Vance family. Now they'd flipped because Mr. Vance planned to step from shipping into California state politics. A political family can't have scandals. Mrs. Vance, this is between Zachary and me. Please don't trouble yourself. From the other end came scolding and the slap of flesh on flesh. She barked at Zachary, then simpered, yes, it's better if you young people talk. I've lectured him. Here, he'll speak. The phone changed hands. Zach muttered, Cherry, I messed up. Come back. All right. Zero sincerity. Before I could refuse, the restless man behind me moved, hard. A sharp cry escaped me. Zach went silent on the line, then exploded. Cherry, what are you doing? For some reason his rage delighted me. Casually I said, what you and Lana did. You, his voice shook. Have you no shame? I laughed. Who's shameless? You're the one who bedded Lana till sunrise. Only the magistrate gets to light fires. Huh? His breathing roared. He had no comeback. I couldn't be bothered. If you want me back at the altar, kneel, wag your tail, and cry. Maybe I'll think about it. Gotta go. I'm busy. The moment I hung up, relief washed through me. You finished. Then back to business. The sexy baritone sounded behind me. Ashton's burning arm cinched my waist. Hot sweat dripped, and I shivered. Whatever. Couldn't play much longer. Might as well enjoy. I rolled over, bit his lower lip. Let's keep going. Spring bloomed again in the room. For the next few days Ashton and I indulged non-stop. At the same time I gathered papers for graduate school abroad, applying to programs in London and Paris. Ashton hugged me from behind, chin on my shoulder. How about I come study with you? His eyes overflowed with devotion. I stroked his cheek. Sure, we'll study together. Settle down abroad. Never come back. He said nothing. The warmth in his gaze cooled until it reached absolute zero. I laughed inside. Of course he couldn't abandon his business empire in California for me. To men, women are toys. Power and fortune are the true gods. Zachary never called again. No matter how his parents pushed, he wouldn't debase himself that far. Everything was smooth until I realized I'd left my passport in the marital penthouse in Eastbrook. I had to go back. I chose a weekday to avoid Zachary, but the instant I opened the door, the stench of beer slammed into me. Beer bottles lay everywhere, right side up, upside down, unshaven. Zachary sprawled on the couch like a drunk vagrant. Nothing like Eastbrook's golden air. Hearing the door, he blinked, stared, then lunged. I recoiled, hand on the knob, ready to sprint. Zach bent his knees, dropped, and wrapped his arms around my legs. His voice was slurred, broken. Cherry, I know I was wrong. Forgive me, please. I shouldn't have cheated. Shouldn't have left you sick. Shouldn't have said those things. Give me one chance. I'll love you right. The more he spoke, the wilder he became. Actual tears. I looked at those cheap tears and felt nothing. Zach, remember what you have to do for me to even consider? Zach's face twisted in struggle. After an internal tug of war, he made his choice. He let go of my legs, placed his palms on the floor, lowered himself, and wagged his butt. He swayed as he wept, begging, Cherry, please forgive me, okay? Please marry me, okay? It seemed Zachary really had been driven into a corner by his parents. The young master of the Vance family, always high and mighty, looking down on everyone, actually had a day when he'd wag his tail and plead. He cried until his voice was hoarse, his writhing body rigid. I finally spoke. All right, I promise. Fresh light flared in his desperate eyes. Zachary tried to scramble up, but after kneeling so long his legs buckled and he pitched back down. His knees hit the floor with a loud crack. I looked down at him, making no move to help him stand. Zachary, this is only a verbal promise, I said. The rest depends on how you act. If you falter, I can cancel the wedding at any moment. A blissful expression washed over his face. He nodded frantically. I'll do everything right. I won't have anything to do with Lana again. When Ashton learned Zachary and I were going forward with the wedding, he was furious. I thought you were heading abroad for grad school. Why the sudden change? His hand circled my waist, his grip edged with simmering anger. I brushed my lips to his, smile curving my eyes. Are you jealous? He answered with a hard, claiming kiss. Only after I was breathless did he release me. I rested against his chest, tapping a lazy rhythm to his heartbeat. You've always fought Zachary, haven't you? On the surface he and Ashton acted civil. Underneath they never were. In every business deal they scratched and clawed. And Ashton's original interest in me might have started as nothing more than a contest with Zachary. I have a way to keep him down forever, under your boot. Ashton raised a brow, instantly intrigued. I whispered the plan against his ear. He said nothing, but from his expression he was in. He nipped my lip in warning. He mustn't touch you. A soft laugh slipped out of me. Typical male possessiveness. Quietly, Zachary and I reconciled. His parents were delighted. Mr. Vance slid the family heirloom diamond bracelet onto my wrist, beaming, Cherry, soon we'll truly be one family. His friends assumed I'd cried and begged to win him back. But when they saw how devotedly Zachary obeyed me, how tender he was, and how coldly he treated Lana, they realized the story might be the other way around. What mattered to them wasn't the woman he married. It was his attitude toward her. So they treated me more politely than before. In a blink we reached the night before the wedding. Zachary's buddies threw us a stag party at a luxury club in Los Angeles. The guys commandeered one VIP lounge, the girls another, close enough to keep each other in sight. His friends kept topping Zachary's glass, and he took every shot. Yet from time to time he still glanced over at me, his eyes soft and sweet. His buddies buddies teased. Quit staring, Zach. She's not running off. Tomorrow after the vows. She's yours for life. He turned away, cheeks flushed, whether from liquor or embarrassment, I couldn't tell. Watching his smitten look, I tugged at the corner of my mouth. Lana walked over, glass in hand, and touched mine. Congrats, she said. You finally hooked Zachary. But, she added, don't think a ring will keep him. A man's heart always strays. I smiled politely. We women should treat ourselves better. Stop eyeing another woman's leftovers. You, she sputtered. Then she grinned again, smug. At least I had the first bite, and it tasted fine. She winked and strolled off. I nearly spat my drink. Trash like Zachary. Only someone starving would swallow it. I listened to the band and sipped my cocktail. Zachary's friends kept filling his glass, and his attention drifted from me. But another stare fastened on me, bold, unblinking. I didn't need to look up to know whose it was. I went on sipping, pretending not to notice. A message soon lit my phone. I'm outside waiting. Only 4 words. Yet my pulse leapt. I scanned the room. Ashton had vanished. Zachary was half drunk, drowsy. He wouldn't track me tonight. I told the girls I was heading to the restroom, slung my purse over my shoulder, and slipped out. In the back of a cab outside, Ashton was already waiting. We rode to his condo in Beverly Hills. The instant the door shut, he pinned me against it. His kiss crashed over me, fierce, uncompromising. I clasped his shoulders and answered with equal hunger. We tore at each other as if it truly were our final night, because it was. Tomorrow, I'd board a flight out of LAX. As we kissed frantically, tugging at each other's clothes, my purse rang with a stubborn chime. Ashton swore, ignore it. He bent to kiss me again, but the phone kept ringing like a death knell. He growled, pick up. I fished it out with shaking fingers. Caller ID, said Zachary. Ashton snorted and spun me around, pressed me face first to the door, mouth at my ear. My hands trembled so badly I could barely hold the phone. He grazed my earlobe, voice ragged, baby, why aren't you answering? Under the gaze of the man behind me, I accepted the call. 2 hours later, I returned to our marital penthouse. In the gloom, Zachary sat frozen on the sofa. I turned on the lamps. He flinched, squinted, and hurried over when he saw me. You're back. He reached for my purse, but froze at the scarlet bruise on my throat. The bag crashed to the floor. He pointed, incredulous. What is that? I gave him a cool smile. You should know better than anyone. Back when I'd been sick, hadn't he come home wearing similar marks? My lips curved. Zachary, if it bothers you, we can call the wedding off. I'll let you walk right now. Pain, remorse, conflict, each flickered across his face. At last he laughed, bitterly. Karma, right, doesn't matter. Tomorrow we marry. We each betrayed the other once. Now we're even. How generous. Letting the score stand at 1-1. I walked into the master bedroom and shut him out. After our so-called reconciliation, I'd insisted on separate rooms until the wedding. I slept in the master, Zachary in the guest room. At 5 a.m., I lifted the suitcase I had hidden. Through the door I listened, dead silence, and left the penthouse that had held both my brightest memories and my worst pain. The plane lifted from LAX. I turned my face to the sky beyond the window. For the first time, I felt weightless, free. Dad, I'm finally out. With my own hands, I'll chase the dream of seeing the whole world. Overseas, I buried myself in my studies. I tried not to chase news from California. Still, Ashton reported Zachary's movements now and then. On our wedding day, Zachary had combed Los Angeles like a madman, while at the venue a graphic video of him and Lana rolled, alongside voice notes in which he sneered at me. The Vance reputation collapsed in minutes. Mr. Vance's political dreams shattered. Company stock plunged. Bankruptcy edged closer. Zachary lost his mind, wandering the streets of Eastbrook. Have you seen my wife? He'd ask strangers. Her name's Cherry. She's beautiful. I love her. Then he'd burst into tears. She doesn't want me anymore. People fled the raving man. If Lana spotted him, she ducked away, afraid he might latch on. At last Mr. Vance dragged his son to a psychiatric facility in Northern California. The Prince of Eastbrook would live his life inside white walls. I thought once I was abroad Ashton would quit the chase. Instead, he flew over whenever he pleased, irritating beyond belief. Yes, he wired money, warmed my bed, and left no clingy texts. But I was done living that way, so I rang his fiancé, a socialite from a prominent New York family. Generous woman, she paid me a fat check to stay away from him. I took it gladly and blacklisted every number he owned. Later, when news of his wedding crossed the ocean, I clapped, delighted. At last, no one would disturb my world. One afternoon I left the library into perfect sunlight in London. I tilted my face up, felt its warmth spread over my skin. The clouds of the past had lifted. I strode forward toward the bright road ahead. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up and share with friends. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.